Hello and welcome to Women in Retail Talks. This episode features a clip from the November Women in Retail and Total Retail Virtual Exchange event. In this clip, Women in Retail Leadership Circle Senior Editor Marie Albajas interviews Angie Rieger, Senior Vice President of International and Wholesale at Land's End, and Advisory Board Member for Women in Retail Leadership Circle. Listen in as Rieger discusses how the discipline and skills she's gained while training for marathons can apply to leadership and professional growth.
One thing that I have gotten to know about you is that you are an avid runner. I know that you just completed a marathon. I think you got something like second place in your age group or something. Which marathon was it?
I ran a marathon in Fort Collins, Colorado. So my youngest son that I was just speaking about, he's a junior in college there now. So I and a couple of friends are attempting to run a marathon in every state. And so when he made a decision to go to Colorado to school, we're like, well, we just need to go to Colorado while he's at least in school there. So that was, we just checked Colorado off the list. And are continuing to, next summer is Montana, and we're just continuing to go through the states and try to do a marathon in every state.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, in Colorado, the elevation levels themselves, I mean, you got to train for that just to be able to breathe up there. So the reason I bring it up is because, obviously you're trained and disciplined on it. It takes motivation, it takes discipline. So I wonder how you take those skills that you use in running, and if there are ways to apply them to leadership and to professional growth.
Absolutely. I started marathoning 20 years ago. And actually the reason I started marathoning then was things, we had just recently been acquired. Land's End had been acquired by Sears. I had young kids. We had a situation in our family. There was a very serious health issue with someone in my extended family. And I needed structure at that point in time. So sometimes if you're kind of a type A like I am, you need to feel like you can at least control something, or you needed some structure. And I needed structure. And I happened to open up Runner's World, and it was the 25th anniversary of the Chicago Marathon. And I called a friend of mine and said, I'm going to run the marathon, run it with me. And what you find with something like marathoning, and it doesn't have to be marathoning. It can be anything. Everybody's got different passions and things that they like to do in their non-working time. But for me, the beauty of marathoning was you can have short-term and long-term goals, no different than what you have in your career or in other phases of your life. Short-term, you've got to do the training. Long-term for me, what became long-term for me was, could I run a marathon in every state? That's my long-term goal. Will I achieve it? I'm not sure. We're all getting older. But the short-term goals are, I need to do the training, or I want to do 2 marathons next year. Now that COVID's, a little bit behind us and marathoning is opening back up. Can I get back to the normal 2 marathons a year? Short-term goals, long-term goals. You've got to see progress. You've got to see success. And sometimes, particularly back at the beginning, the success was that I got a long training run done. I needed that structure, and that helped me be clear and focused on other things that I needed to do. It helped me put structure back into my life in areas where I was feeling like things had gotten a little bit out of control. Just things that had nothing to do with me, but I just needed to know that there was some structure. And I think that's what marathoning can do or whatever it is, if you are like to bike, or if you whatever the case may be, it allows you to put structure and makes you feel that you've got something that you can hold on to when other things might feel like they're moving more quickly than you'd like.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I agree completely. And with the short-term goals, I should say, I mean, part of the key to succeeding in those is to have very specific goals, right? I imagine with your training, you were, clocking in miles and saying, today I'm going to do X amount of miles, or I'm going to run X amount of minutes. Do you find that having those specific goals when it comes to your career is useful as well? And can you give maybe some examples of the specifics behind, your short-term goals and your long-term goals, and if you're getting your employees to set those goals too?
So I think there's absolute parallels. You could even think of training or having a trainer, or I haven't worked with a trainer, but I have running partners as the mentors that you have in your career, or somebody that you work with who's giving you guidance. There's so many parallels for me, at least for running, to my work life. When you think about the short term and long term, even with work, it may be that you need to upskill in a certain area. So maybe a short-term goal is there's a skill that I need or something I need to figure out to how to do, learn to do, add to my toolkit. And how am I going to do that? That's my short-term goal. Maybe long-term, it's that you've set your sights on a different role within the organization. Those are all ways where you can start to chip away at, if I want to get here and I want to do X, what do I need to do to get there? What are those things that I either have and do well that I can lean into? And what are those things that I need to upskill in? And it could be anything from something technical to something personal, interpersonal. How do I manage people differently? How do I learn how to give better feedback? There's a whole range of things that you might want to work on. And from my perspective, those are the short-term goals. And you lay out those longer-term goals. It's no different than your personal finances. If you meet with your financial advisor, they're going to ask you for short-term goals, midterm goals, long-term goals. Your career should have the same things. What do I want to do? What do I need to accomplish short-term so that I can get to whatever that long-term goal is?
Yeah, and I feel like as a marathon runner, you're like almost predisposed to having those goals in your personal and professional life as well. So what we really need to do is all just take up marathon running.
I think what is important to remember, though, is, so if you use marathoning and running, oftentimes people say, there's no way I could ever do that. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. It is so much more mind over body than anyone ever really gives it credit for. So whether it's running, again, or whether it's something else, oftentimes we are our own worst enemy, and we're the ones that are putting the roadblocks in front of ourselves versus something else. And so I think what you do learn from doing something like an endurance event is it's way more mental than it is physical. Oftentimes we get in our own way without even realizing it. And that's something that I've spent a lot of time over the last, 10, 15 years trying to do differently or think about, is don't get in your way. Don't be the person that gets in your own way. Look for the things that you need to do and chip away at them.
But you've carried that mindset from running to your professional life, like making sure that you're not getting in your own way.
I try.
Yeah. I'm sure you succeed most days.
We all have opportunities, but I think, no one is ever, we should never stop growing. We should never stop challenging ourselves. We should never stop looking for where we can, refine an edge here or there, be a little bit better, learn something new. I mean, if you think about today, retail today versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, no one would have ever imagined marketplaces and all, the buy online, pick up in store, all of the digital opportunities we have to sell product and buy product. These are all things that give us opportunities to learn and to improve and to be relevant. And it's about staying relevant.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.